But yeah.
And now you're doing this interview from jail.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
No wonder I heard a lot of commotion in the background. No.
Yeah, no doubt.
All right, welcome everybody to Casting for Two, the podcast, as always hosted by me, Chris. Welcome everybody to episode number 368. Fun episode for you guys today. Of course, you know I gotta shop that talk, talking that shop. If you'd like to follow me on Twitter and Instagram, you can do that right now, literally right now. Just go to whatever social media platform you like and search Casting for Two and then follow. That's all you got to do. Super easy. Exciting show today. So I'm just going to put this out there. I hope I don't get his last name wrong, okay? Matt, I'm sorry. Matt Koenig is on the show today. And if you don't know who he is, what's the matter with you? No, he is from the band the Undercover Dream Lovers, and they have a new album out right now called It's All in Your Head, and they just announced today that they're gonna go on tour with Starfucker, which I'm super excited for. I love Starfucker, and you know, the music that Matt's doing, it's so good. And I recommend everybody, you know, listen to the interview, pick up the album, listen to the interview, whatever you want to do. Make sure you do both, though. Help out some brothers here. But you know what? I'm done talking because we need to get into this episode, all right? So sit back, relax, and Matt, take it away.
Hey, how's it going?
It's going well. How about yourself?
I'm doing all right, hanging out.
There we go.
Having a pretty good day so far.
Nice. Now I too am a fellow Matt. My middle name is Matthew, but do you prefer people to call you Matt or Matthew?
Most people call me Matt.
Okay.
Yeah, my mom will call me Matthew, and my sisters, but I don't really care if someone does. I think like out of habit, just introduce myself as Matt, and people just go with it.
Yeah, I always, yeah, no, I know. I always get that because people are like, "Do you want to go by Chris or Christopher?" And I go, "You know what? It's all up to you, brother."
Yeah, exactly. Kind of leave it in their court.
Yeah, I go, if you're mad at me, you can yell Christopher. Like, I'm used to that, but you know.
Exactly. Kind of leave some room for like a little more seriousness. It's like, Christopher.
Like, ah, crap.
Exactly.
Ah, crap. What did I do now? Nothing. That's the problem. I was talking to a friend earlier this week. We both grew up Catholic, so we have that sense of a guilty conscience.
For sure.
So I feel like, you know, if I hear Christopher Matthew, like, oh crap, I'm in for it now. What did I do?
It's double duty there. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
My parents we grew up Catholic as well.
Mm-hmm.
To kind of get the vibe. I had like a big family, so it wasn't like super like enforced, but like so many kids running around, like they just had to like deal with that. But but yeah, I feel that.
What in that family? Where were you in that big family? Were you the oldest, middle, youngest?
I was the middle.
Okay.
I have seven siblings.
Ooh, okay, all right. So they had their their hands were full. Gotcha.
Exactly, yeah, and 6 girls nonetheless. So it was like definitely like a lot going on.
How did you make it out alive? That's what I want to know.
I think being the middle kid, you get to just like kind of go into the background a little bit, and just like do your own thing. So I think that was probably the case for me.
Gotcha. Okay. And at what point do you find music?
Oh, it was always kind of like in the mix. My mom like would be either she's like always putting on like classical music at an early age, or like
Mm.
getting us some piano lessons, or whatever it is, just like a little bit of influence. But it wasn't like until I was a teenager that I like started to find like my own like genuine interests. I like Modest Mouse and Animal
Mm.
Collective and um Portugal the Man and Dr. Dog and bands like that. Like somewhere between like 15 and 18, that I was like discovering music more like in the realm that I make today, or at least starting to influence it. So I'd say like around then. But I had like a guitar from like age 12, and like was learning AC/DC and like enjoyed Aerosmith. I
Yeah.
wasn't really sure why, even though they still got some good songs, but it
Yeah.
was still like figuring it out, I guess.
That's cool. At one point in my, I love saying this because it makes me feel cooler than I really am. At one point, I did a battle of the bands with half of the members from Portugal the Man.
Oh no shit.
Yeah.
Wow.
I'm from Oregon, so we it was technically not really a battle of the bands, but just bands playing. But we always say we
Yeah.
came in third out of six because why not?
Yeah. Oh, that's funny.
But
That's so funny.
no.
Yeah, I really liked listening to those guys. They definitely had like definitely like one of the first bands in that pocket that I was talking about, but like seeing live shows and stuff, and
Mm,
they had a really cool, influential live show that like just seeing them at smaller venues like the Grog Shop at the time,
mm-hmm.
and just getting like really excited seeing bands do that at that age was really cool.
Nice. Were there other bands that influenced you live, or when you saw them live?
Well, I think they would be one, and
Yeah.
Dr. Dog was
Mm.
another. Um, like two of the main ones that come to mind. But I'm sure I was seeing like a boatload of bands. Modest Mouse there was a good show I went to
Mm.
that I remember being really influential, and just the energy and vibe. Yeah, and just being like younger and influential at that age was like just like, oh, this is like the coolest thing ever. Um, so so yeah, definitely like had an influence on like the initial outset and interest in the music of like wanting to play in a band, and then later on, like realizing how much there is to the process and getting kind of
Right.
wrapped up in like production and engineering and like songwriting, like as an individual rather than a group mentality, at least for a little while.
Hmm.
So
And
yeah.
what you mentioned writing music. I love finding out people's process for doing so. For you, like what is there a certain kind of headspace you have to get into for writing lyrics or music?
Yeah, I think that I always try and go at it in like a different angle. I
Hmm.
try and like approach with like even if it ends up going back to some workflow that I've done, I like to like at least maybe like put on a different song that I haven't heard that I might listen to, or instead of starting with a drum beat, maybe start with a keyboard or something like that. Generally, it's like an instrumentation that comes first, some sort of like verse or chorus, and then maybe even both actually, and I'll kind of get like some mood and atmosphere going on
Hmm.
that I can work melodies around in, and um and usually I'll build the melody out with some like kind of scratch vocals, scratch words, and then I'll just kind of like just start writing things down and see what comes out. Yeah, I think there was like a while where it was like stream of consciousness lyrics where I was like not really sure what I was writing about, just kind of like searching for it,
Yeah.
and was kind of okay with it. It was just like if it felt good, it was good, and if people always interpret the song like probably different than you might mean anyway. So
Mm.
like everyone's gonna have their own perspective on it, personal, way they relate to it. So if they're getting something out of the words, like even if it's not like super logical, that was kind of like a mindset for a while.
Yeah.
But now I try and like think about like maybe I can make more of a story. Maybe I can have characters that aren't even necessarily me, and like what would a story be like, and imagine like a little more to it, and just use that as like a, a place to kind of like think about lyrics in, if that makes sense.
Wow. Yeah. It's now. Has there ever been a point where you write songs when you're younger, of course, and then you grow up. You're more you've had a lot more practice in writing music. You're more knowledgeable. Do you ever look back at your previous work and just go, oh, Jesus.
Yeah, I mean, I think a bit. Yeah, I think like I'm always. It's a weird mindset. It's kind of like I don't know if it's a catch-22 or not, but it's like, um, there's like a situation where you want to perfect something and you like
Right.
you'll kind of painstakingly go over it, and then maybe you do it for years. Like I've got friends who like you'll sit on a song and try and make it awesome, and then build it up to be this thing, and it takes you forever. Or you take the mindset where you're like, I'm just gonna jump in here and make some songs and put it out, and maybe I'm not quite the best version it can be, but like at least I'm like putting myself out there and I'll grow from it. And for me, I've kind of taken the latter approach of like I think the first couple songs I did, I just like made in a couple weeks and like wanted to get back into music and put myself out there and like maybe these could be demos, maybe these could be better, but who cares? I'm just gonna like jump into the music world again and kind of like and always can write another song mindset. So yeah, I think there's a couple ways of thinking about it. It's really cool like when I see people who have like a really nice, neat like catalog and like everything's like I feel like makes sense and is really like fluid, but also I feel like there's something cool about knowing that it's like the growth and journey is also a part of the experience, and being okay with like where you're coming from is also kind of cool to own up to, and maybe people will like appreciate that story as well. So kind of a couple ways to think about it.
Well, yeah, and we as people, I'd love to say I'm the same guy 10 years ago, but I'm not. I'm a different guy.
Yeah.
We get older, we change, and that's just kind of. I love hearing when music reflects that in the artist. It's like I don't know, a lot of these, and I'm trying to use my words right because I don't want to offend anyone. But a lot of these artists who make these like poppy songs just for radio play, they get
Yeah.
older and they go, you know what? I kind of want to do something more personal about
Yeah.
experiences that happened in my life. I'm like, yeah, let me. I'll wait to listen until you get to that version of yourself.
Right. 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 Yeah. A little deeper meaning behind it, a little more to the story.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think yeah, exactly what you said is true about like people being in different places and yeah, maybe one day someone has like the mindset that they're just like trying to like make some money off it or something. But I also feel like the one record I put out or EP rather, it was like in real time, and like even then I felt like I was still like learning about the process, and I was like definitely taking a lot on by like playing all the instruments and doing the production engineering, and I was like felt like I really needed to keep putting something out and keep connecting with people, but I was like not sure. Like you get kind of close to your songs and you're like maybe I liked them at some point, maybe they could be better, maybe they could be this, but you get a little like this like a little confused sometimes when you're hearing it all the time. But I named it In Real Time because it was like the concept of like this is just a snapshot of a moment in my life of where I'm at working on it. So it's kind of like a cool representation of like that moment of exactly where I was at. So like thinking in that mindset, I thought it was really cool just to like put it out like that and be okay with it. Even though I liked it too, but it was just like when you're close, you're just like you're also not sure like can it be better? Can I do more? But yeah, but definitely also like I think you were also leading into like yeah, more like if there's more like emotional, like personal, like storyline and like like you want to take something of yourself rather than just like do the pop algorithm or whatever.
Yeah. You were saying that you did for your EP, you did everything pretty much for it. Music after that, did you have an appreciation for I don't know, like engineers and all that, or is it easier to talk to them when you're kind of in the mixing and recording stages?
Yeah, I mean, engineering and production are like it's like if you have to learn how to use Ableton or Pro Tools, like kind of think of it like another instrument. There's a whole language and skill set, and so a lot of the even though you might not be sometimes you might not be on a keyboard, maybe you're using the mouse, you're still working with you're almost scoring, like you're still working with uh the notes and the melodies and the pieces. So it's definitely still very musical, even though there's definitely a math side to it. And yeah, to answer the question, it's kind of like I definitely feel like I can like communicate a lot easier, whether it's like with an engineer or even an artist. Like I've been doing some more production for other people and their projects since I've been in California, and just knowing like what they're describing and like having been on both sides, I can kind of like maybe a little easier translate to, oh, you want this, is this sound? And then turn a few knobs and like, is that right? And they're like, yes, exactly. Like you nailed it. So it's like I think having like both perspectives has been really helpful lately, especially.
Nice. And
Yeah.
you have a new album coming out. It's all in your head.
Yeah.
And that's the name of the album. I'm not just like saying random phrases.
Yeah. No, that.
I'm curious. There's a couple of songs I was listening to. I enjoy your particular. Well, before we go into album talk, I'm just wondering how long did it take you to find your particular sound?
Yeah, I think it's definitely developed into something that I'm really enjoying right now over this past record and a lot of the stuff I worked on. Like there's a lot of songs that like didn't necessarily get fleshed out in between this record and like stuff I worked on in the past, but they all like it all helped me get to where I'm at. So yeah, it's been a process and it's been a journey, and like I don't even know that I'll like land on a sound, even though there's probably like a through line that's me that carries through all of them. Like, if that makes sense. I think I just like to explore workflows and trying new things, and if someone inspires something, just see if I can take a chance on it and just do something different because it inspires like excitement, and that leads to like the momentum of finishing something and not getting stuck on it for 2 years or something. Like I think I'm just like more into that like mindset, if that makes sense. But so yeah, I think like right now I like where the sound's at, and like it's taken like a lot of like trial and error or exploring to get there, but it's more just like a search. It's like, does this sound cool? Yeah, is this thing working? Should I do more live drum recording? Like, jumping in the studio and getting creative, really.
Because, like I was saying, I was listening to a couple of tracks, and I was just really digging the sound that you got going on. And but I'm curious, off the album that's coming out, was there one song in particular that took a little bit more time to flush out? Whether something wasn't gelling together, whether it was the music or the lyrics?
Yeah, it's kind of crazy. Like a lot of the process I've been working on is like I develop, and it's kind of like something. Each song I can like apply to the next song, and some of the songs, majority of the content will come out in like a day. Actually, it's kind of weird. And like in the last couple of sessions, I've been doing, it's like a 1 to 3 days. It's like pretty quick turnaround. Like I think Chardonnay on there was like a 3-day track, and so was the most recent track I put out, You Don't Have to Be Lonely. I think The Way Out was like a day. So it's like this kind of cool, quick, like capture the moment thing that's been going on recently for these songs. Taking everything I learned and just like working for 16 hours in a day, and then just like having it all spell out. But yeah, to answer the question more, I think what's the one? The song Commercial, that one was a little tricky because I had like a different chorus melody originally that I really liked, but I think it sounded a lot like what was the song? Maybe it'll come to me in a second, but it like sounded like a very well-known song and melody, and everyone was giving me a lot of crap for it. They're like, you can't possibly use this. And what is it? Give it up. No. Okay, it might come back to me in a second. I'm trying to remember off the top of my head. But anyway, so like I got really used to that, and when you do that, it's kind of like a demo-itis thing. It feels a little awkward when you're working in a new melody, so it took me a little while to like get used to that. Even still, like get used. I think I really like how it turned out, but there's still a part of me that like you get a little disoriented by changing melodies when you've like heard it a bunch of times. So that one in particular, I think the last song, Everyone's Confused, that one I think I had like thought what the chorus is now was a verse at one point, and had a moment where I realized I could flip the script and make it a chorus, and um just stuff like that, like kind of like you listen a few too many times and move a few too many things around, you get a little disoriented, and sometimes it's easier just to like go with your first gut and try and do it in a shorter time frame, capture the inspiration, and if it's working, great, and if it's like you're fidgeting with it too much, you might need to just like cool off on that one for a little bit and learn that lesson. But yeah, I think that worked out.
And I saw you have some tour dates coming up. I'm curious, is there one song off the new album that you're looking to play in front of people?
Yeah, we actually started playing a couple of them. We played a New Year's show at the Fonda, and we played "You Don't Have to Be Lonely" and Chardonnay, and A Way Out and Plane Ride. We played 4 of the 11 already, actually, which is cool. Just kind of like slowly getting used to a few of them, so it's not too much at once. But and they were all a blast. Like a big part of what I was thinking about when I was making the record. We just done a few shows with the band Parcels on the road, and L'Imperatrice and a few other bands, and they all have these really great arcs to their live show, and there's like really great energy and great high points, and I just got really inspired by that in general. So I was thinking like I wanted to make sure I had more dynamic, more upbeat, more fun, but also a couple to balance that out in the opposite direction and mellow it out. So I was really thinking about the live show a good bit. So I think, so the ones we've added all like definitely I think enhance the set, but I'm excited for some of the slower ones too, like there's a song called Not Good Enough. It's a little more like, it's a little slower, and I feel like the vocals shine through a little more, and it's a little slower. I feel like that might be a really nice moment in the live show as well, to bring it down and think about like maybe like 2/3 of the way through a set, coming down for a little bit and getting intimate for a second before you ramp back up for the end of the show. So songs like that will be cool. But yeah, I think I was definitely thinking about all of that while I was writing, so maybe just all of them really.
There we go.
Yeah.
There we go. I'm curious if there's one thing that I love on the podcast is a good horror story. And I'm wondering if you have any gig horror stories.
Oh. Gig horror stories?
Gig horror stories.
We've been pretty lucky, like, with our planning and our prep. It's kind of like off the cusp. I don't have like I'm blanking out. I had a horror story coming to mind that was like when I was moving out here that was maybe could work. It was like traveling with gear across the U.S. If that counts.
Yeah, yeah.
I was kind of being dumb and driving by myself. I think that was like my first trip actually out here. I was like driving across the U.S. and on like low sleep, and I think it was like 10-hour drives for some of the days. I think I did the whole U.S. in like 5 days by myself. And halfway through, I was staying with a friend of a friend, and I got in. I think my car had some trouble in Nashville, and I actually had to like the frame got messed up, so they gave me this rental. It was like a whole thing, and I got pushed back to leaving at 3:00 in the day, and was going to get in at like even later at night into like Oklahoma somewhere.
Yeah.
And it's pouring rain, and I get in, and they're like, hey, here's my address. We're texting. You've got I got to get up early, so I'm going to be in bed, but the back door is always open. And I go, and I get there at like 3 a.m, and the house doesn't seem to exist. It's like the address isn't making sense.
Yeah.
And I'm like exhausted, a little not thinking clearly because I've been driving for a few days straight, very tired. And very, very stupidly like tried to go like rationalize like, oh, maybe it's like these like long houses that the back could maybe be another address or something. And the lights were on, so I'm kind of like tiptoeing around these houses trying to like, he's like, oh, it's really easy, just come in. And I'm like walking around like an idiot in the rain trying to potentially break into these houses in Oklahoma. And luckily, nothing bad happened. He gave me the wrong address. It was like a street off. So like, but I ended up like sleeping in my car and like waiting outside. It was kind of like a brutal evening, and I think the people I tried to go into the house called the cops on me. So they were really nice. Like I explained it, I was like, just like, this is what happened, and he was like, I was very lucky that it was somebody who was understanding, and but yeah, it was kind of a scary moment. So like traveling with all my gear across the country. So maybe that counts, maybe it doesn't, but like, you know, could have been a worse ending, a scary moment, like breaking into people's houses. But yeah.
And now you're doing this interview from jail.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
No wonder I heard a lot of commotion in the background. No. And
yeah, no doubt.
And before we go, I just have one tiny question to ask, and it's the first thing that comes to your mind. What does music mean to you?
Music is, it just feels like a connection. Just feels like it's always been like an energy-based thing. Like I get a lot of really good warm feelings from you know, goosebumps kind of feeling from music that really connects and resonates. It's kind of like when the sonics of it can match the message, or maybe it's not even the words don't even have to jump out, but you get the feeling is so strong that it's like this. Yeah, it's just something that's like everyone kind of relates to and connects with, and I think it's a really cool space for people to reflect on their own emotions and lives and selves. I think that's kind of what I get out of it. Is just a lot of really good, you know, it really just, I think, yeah, it's like painting a picture of how you feel with your emotions. So I think when you're writing it, it comes out that way, and someone on the receiving end can relate in their own way. So it's kind of like storytelling. Yeah.
Yeah, there we go. And for the people at home who would like to pick up the album when it's available, follow you online, catch a show, where can they get all that info?
Yeah, we have all the socials, the normal things. The Undercover Dream Lovers at Gmail. The Undercover Dream Lovers Instagram, I think, is just basically at the Undercover Dream Lovers. And then the undercoverdreamlovers.com is also where you can order the vinyls and, you know, pretty much like basic stuff. But I'm usually mostly connected through Instagram these days.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. Okay. Matt, thank you so much for chatting with me. I'm excited to hear more of your work. Like I said, I listen to it and I can't get enough of it. So,
awesome. Thank you so much. Appreciate that.
Of course, yeah. You keep making it. I'll keep listening to it. So,
right on. That's the deal.
You can at least say one person is listening. So.
No doubt. I love it. Really appreciate the time and you having me on to chat.
Yeah, absolutely. Anytime you want to come back, just say the word, all right?
Awesome, man. Hey, have a good one.
Yeah, you too. You have a good rest of your day.
Thanks. See you later.
All right, bye-bye.